Hello and welcome to our 9 p.m. English news edition brought to you live by our RTD channel. Here are the top stories. Cooperation Djibouti and Somaliland. The President of the Republic received this morning a ministerial delegation. And Syria dealing new failure of the dealing on the Syria issue in Astana. That was the headlines, and now to the national news.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency Anglais, has sent yesterday, Wednesday, a message of congratulation to his American counterpart, Mr. Donald Trump, including the country celebrates the anniversary of the National Day. In his message, the President of the Republic has formed the wishes of success and success to the Mr. Trump in the conduct of the affairs of this country. He also wishes to get to greater prosperity and more vitality to the friendly people of the United States of America. The head of state of Djibouti was then put to use this message to rejoice of this privilege, nurture of relations of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and people. The membership of Djibouti to the restricted circle of nations maintain an active collaboration with the United States in the sensitive areas that are the economic development and the exploitation of energy has actually value of illustration of exceptional links that unite the two countries. The strategic partnership between our two nations in the field of defense and security is also another major evidence of the vitality of the report Djibouti to America. The President has ended his message by reiterating its wishes of good faith to his American counterpart and to the whole of the friendly people of the United States of America.
The President of the Republic, His Excellency Anglais, received today, Thursday, at the end of the morning at the Presidential Palace, a high-level delegation led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Somaliland, Mr. Saad Ali Churi. The promotion of relations of friendship and cooperation between Djibouti and Somaliland, and especially the realization of new convention of collaboration between the two parties in a sensitive number of areas, including security, trade, and the reading, have essentially been addressed during the courses of this meeting. The meeting also served to an opportunity to the delegation of the Somaliland to brief the head of the state of Djibouti on the provision taken to place the presidential election, which will soon be held February 2018 in this land, in the transparency and also the extension to all communities of Somaliland. To the outcome of his discussion with the President-elect, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Somaliland was pleased at the micro of the Djiboutian press of the framework friendly and fraternal in which the discussion with the leader of the state were held. He has also taken advantage of this contact with the media to formulate his acknowledgement to the people and the government of Djibouti for the valuable assistance they bring regularly in Somaliland in periods of great distress, in particular in the context of drought. Several ministers of the Somaliland accompanied Mr. Saad Ali Churi in the framework of this stay of work to Djibouti. It is the Minister of Education, the Minister of Young and Sport, Minister of Trade, and also the Minister of New Technologies in charge of relation with the Parliament, and the Minister of the Breathing. The Djiboutian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, took part to this discussion. Also noted was the presence at this meeting of the representative of Djibouti with the Somaliland, Mr. Hussein Omar Kawale.
The Djiboutian Vice Fatima Jama Zaid, representative of FAO, and has been received the award for the best representative of the FAO this year. In effect, a ceremony of recognition of Mrs. Fatima Jama Zaid was held this morning at the seat of the FAO in Rome, Italian capital, in the presence of the senior officials of the organizations.
Still to the national news, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, has conducted this morning 6 with the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Fu Hongkyung to the signing of an important agreement on economic and also technical cooperation which provide aid without consideration for Djibouti to 100 million young renminbi, which will be devoted to the different priority development projects defined by the two governments. In his speech, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation spokesman of the government, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, expressed the gratitude of the government of the Republic of Djibouti for the constant support provided by the Republic of China in the process of sustainable development of our countries. He welcomed the excellences of the bilateral cooperation between Djibouti and China, which has intensified in recent years significantly with the launch of major projects, rail and also as well as port. With respect to the ambassador of China in Djibouti, Mr. Fu Hongkyung, he welcomed the excellent relation between the two countries and to us to develop, to diversify and also to deepen further and these links that link the two countries.
After meeting with the Prime Minister, the Ethiopian delegation led by Mr. Hassan Abdelkader, the Vice President of the Region Affairs and the Vice Affairs Party of the National Democratic Party and former ambassador of Ethiopia and in Senegal, has meeting yesterday morning the Minister of Transport, Mr. Mohamed Abdelkader. The meeting was involved in the presence of the Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Gorbaki Mohammed, and the ambassador of Ethiopia in Djibouti, Mr. Shemibu and Vitamo Adepo. The objective of the meeting was focused on the preparation of the 20th anniversary of the celebration of the nation and National Day of the Ethiopian celebrated in December of each, and this time the celebration will be held in Samara, capital of the Afar region in Ethiopia. This day corresponding to the adoption of the Constitution of the Federal State of Ethiopia, which consists of 9 regions. The delegation was accompanied by the technical advisors to the Prime Minister and former President of the Council of Tijura, has in the premature by the technical advisor and former President of the Council of Obok, Mr. Ali Ahmed Hassan, said post as in the case of the countries bordering the Republic of Djibouti, also participating in this event and the discussion between the First Minister and the delegation, which mainly focused on the establishment of technical committee to provide the support and the necessary assistance of Djibouti in this event. For more details on this meeting, let us listen to the explanation of the Minister of Justice of our region.
And at the end of the proclamation of the result of the first round of Bachelor's Degree Session 2017, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, has granted an interview on the result of the first round of Bachelor's Degree 2017 to our confer of the Crippen. In this era where the country celebrates its 40 years, the Minister welcomed the good tests are held of the bachelor's degree, but also of the net improvement in the rate of overall success as much as to first and second round. The first sources of pride is to have had this year to the test of the first generation of students who are born with the Djiboutian school and who have followed their schooling with the new programs arising from the reform of 1999. In addition, the Minister has referred to the proclamation of results in near simultaneous with the deliberation of the jury of the tray on the digital platforms and by SMS, but also especially on social network and the internet more generally, but has much satisfied with this candidate and also the general public which has been served at home. But the greatest reason for satisfaction for Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud was the inversion of waveforms and trades in the rate of success. Here are his comments. The rate of success in the first round, all series confused this year amount to 27%, unlike last year where it peaked at 19%. Similarly, the rate of the students who are not, how can I say, success this year is 40%, unlike last year where it peaked at 50%.
The Secretary General of the MINFOP, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Mayoub, has launched today the work of validation workshop, response stories of profession at the Caribbean. The opening ceremony took place in the presence of the several senior officials of the department, including the Inspector General of MINFOP, the Executive Secretary of the MINFOP, and the Director General of the Caribbean and the ATP, but also the business concern of the place, animated by Mr. Ilmi Yusuf Wais, Inspector in Electronic Engineering. The validation workshop of repository of trade and certificate of professional aptitude focused on the electricity of the building and automobiles, as well as the maintenance of marine engines and motorcycles. Noted the involved of educational advisor, professional representative of the private companies, of public sectors, as well as the High Command of the Armed Force in Djibouti and the body of the Coast Guard. In his word of home, the Director General of the Caribbean, Mr. Saeed Noor Hassan, emphasized the importance of this workshop and called on the department to draw the best party of the right. The Inspector General and the Executive Secretary of MINFOP have each of these sides stressed the importance and the purpose of the workshop on the robustity of the crave. In a private intervention that he has made, the Secretary General of the MINFOP, Mohammed Abdullah Mayoub, has expressed his sincere thanks on behalf of the Minister of National Education to the pursuant of the work of this workshop.
Still on the national news conducted by the Minister Delegate for Trade in charge of Tourism, Mr. Hassan Hamad Ibrahim, a Djiboutian delegation participated in the international exhibition Astana 2017, which is currently taking place in Kazakhstan. The theme of this year's focus on the energy of the future. This delegation of Djibouti, comprising between other the Ambassador of Djibouti to Moscow, His Excellency Mr. Muhammad Ali Kamil, the Director of the ONTD, Mr. Osman Abdi Mohammed, the Director of Energy, Mr. Guled Mohammed Jama, and the representative of the Chamber of Trade, as well as the senior official of our country. More than 5 million visitors are expected to attend this exhibition, which started last June 10 and will continue until September 10, 2017 next year. Yesterday, Tuesday, 4 July 2017, the national anthem of our country has sounded on the site of the exposure and the national flag. During this ceremony, the Minister of Commerce, Hassan Hamad, delivered a brilliant speech in which he precisely will our government, under the impetus of the enlightened policy of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, to develop the use of renewable energies, in setting as an example the large construction of energy infrastructure that are currently underway in our country, in particular in the solar power plants, geothermal, and also to ensure our population to dispose of the abundant energies accessible and at the lower cost. The Minister recalled that this exhibition is also a great opportunity to promote and highlight the services and advantages that offers our dear country, in particular in the area of tourism, economic, and the improvement of business area.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdillahi, has made this ceremony in a maternity hospital on the support for the newborns, as soon as the birth, which is held in the maternity of their friends, Dara Hanan. Indeed, the support of systematic newborn in a room of the peers allowed not only to ensure that the state of health of the newborn at the birth, but also to detect and take in charge at the advanced stage congenital malformation, as well as to prevent neonatal death. During his intervention, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, has put the emphasis on the importance of the responsibility of the wise women in the support for the newborn. This theoretical and practical training organized by the Ministry of Health through the Health Directorate Women, Mother, Child has been animated by the two national pediatricians in the 2 sections of 4 days. it integrated in the framework of the strengthening of the skills of the midwife in its role of screening and support for risk situation for the mother and the child during pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. The Secretary General of Health has also explained the importance of this training. This training is part of the framework of reinforcement of the skills and of welfare at the birth of the mother, but also to ensure the state of health of the newborn of his birth.
And the feast marking the 40th anniversary of the independence is not yet finished. It continues in our diplomatic representation, consular and house throughout the world, or in large hotels in Africa and more precisely in Kenya. The feast was high in color, full of healing and patriotic fervor. The Djiboutian residents in Kenya have largely took part to these festivals that have been brand of traditional dance and also patriotic song. The ambassador of Djibouti in Nairobi, Ms. Mariam Ahmed Kulmani, has expressed her pride for this anniversary of the independence, as well as the massive participation of the Djiboutian community who reside in Kenya. The feast marking the 40th anniversary of the independence is not yet finished. As I said, it continues in our diplomatic representation, consular and house throughout the world, and in a large hotel in Europe, and more precisely in Holland. The feast was high in color, full of healing and patriotic fervor. The Djiboutian who lives in Holland have largely took part to this feast. They have been brand of traditional dance and patriotic song. Djiboutians who live in the large cities of the Netherlands have expressed their pride for this anniversary of the independence, as well as the massive participation of the Djiboutian community who live in all the region of the Netherlands and also the neighboring countries.
We regret to announce the date of deceased Mr. Abdul Wahib Ahmed Taha, who occurred this morning in Yemen. The deceased, who died at the age of 55, was the brother of the great Egyptian trader Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha. He left behind him a widow and 6 children, 4 sons and 2 daughters. We bow before the immense grief of all his offspring, as well as the many individuals and families affected by this mourning, and we present our heartfelt condolence to the families of the deceased, that God will keep him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
And now let us move to the international news. The 2 days of peace negotiation to Astana, whose main objective was to find an agreement on the establishment of area of de-escalation allowing a sustainable ceasefire in Syria, have resulted on Wednesday by a new failure made in the capital of Kazakhstan. The outfalls of Bashar al-Assad, the representative of the rebellion, and senior officials of Russian diplomacy, Turkish and Iranian have worked on a series of documents governing the possible deployment of peacekeeping forces in 4 identified areas of the region of Idlib, of the province of Homs, in the enclave of the Ghouta, Eastern Europe, and in the south of the country. But no agreement was finally found, and a new round of negotiation is planned for the end of August to Astana. The representative of the Syrian regime and of the rebellion must be nevertheless the 10th July in Geneva for a 7th round of dealing under the auspices of the United Nations. And this talks speak why the organization Islamic State is the target of large offensives for months by the democratic forces, Syrian forces in Syria, and by government forces in Iraq for the hand of its main bastion of Raqqa and Mosul, conquered in 2014. That's it for tonight's news. Thanks for your kind attention and have a very wonderful evening.